I am with Harrison Klein, transformational luminary, an award-winning personal growth transformationalist, wealth and business growth consultant, whose mission is to personally change the million lives across the globe and help entrepreneurs, salespeople, executives, coaches, marketers, and healers build multi-million-dollar companies. I agree with that. And achieve the very best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
And reach personal and business fulfillment. I love cruising. So yeah, I like money for that too. Whether it's connecting change makers around the world, providing personal growth, Harrison acts as an action coach, constantly changing the rules of the game and inspiring value and collaboration while contributing to the well-being of the planet. Welcome, Harrison.
I am here. Thank you for
and you've been doing that the whole time, but go on.
I've been doing that the whole time for 44 years, you know, just been, I don't want to date myself. I'm actually 24, but I did it before I was a sperm.
That's funny.
So that shouldn't offend anybody. I don't want any letters. I don't want any hate mail. Just making a joke. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
This is a good group. You know, most of the people on this group are screenwriters and producers, and
the best of the best of the best.
Yeah, and they're creative. They think they're moving forward, creative. So
of course, the creation is the essence of who we are. That's our God-given source talents, our God-given source gift. So for coming into this incarnation, the creation of things, yes.
Yeah, creating and allowing and knowing you're worthy. I think that's the big
that's something that's beaten out of you from the time you're a child. But the moment you come back to naturally exploring the selfhood of who you are, you automatically begin to understand you're worthy. And there are lots of ways to get more worthy, and that is basically by being able to keep agreements with yourself. So if you say, I'm going to write 2 pages a day, and you don't write it, it goes into a loss column. If you do write it, then it goes into a win column. And success is a whole body of incremental little wins. They're not big wins, they're little wins. And every single time you keep an agreement with yourself, you're in the win column. And every time you win, you get closer to whatever the biggest success you can imagine is. And you're always on that journey.
That's interesting. I've been getting that lately, but I don't think a lot of people talk about that.
That's why you have me on the show.
I mean, they talk about, do your list and all this thing every day, but they don't talk about the reason behind it.
Yeah, the whys are very important, but, speaking of that, there's a movie I saw recently, and it was about Marcel, the famous mime. Very few people know that he saved the lives of 1,500 children in Nazi Germany, Jewish children. He took them into the mountains across the border into Switzerland. And, his father was a fairly religious man. And when he was painting and he was still studying to be a mime, his father considered him a clown and sort of, inept, because he was always joking around and he was always in this process. And he says, well, so one day he was painting a picture and his father said, why do you do what you do? And he said, I don't mean to be disrespectful. He said, but why do you go to the bathroom? He said to his father, why do you go to the bathroom? His father said, what? Why you ask me such a question? He said, no, really, seriously, why do you go to the bathroom? And the father said, because I have to. And Marcel said, because I have to. I do what I do because I have to. So, and that is really the compelling portion of people who get great. They have to do what they do. Great artists have to do what they do. Great writers have to do what they do. Great sculptors, great, business people, they have to do what they do. It's part of who they are. It's not something that they adapt from the outside. It's something that they are. So we get in this world what we are and not what we want. And that's pretty significant if you understand it. If you even just begin to contemplate it,
Yeah,
You
the
get,
vibration, we're vibrating to the universe.
that's right. There's a law of resonance and the law of alignment, and we can't experience anything we're not in alignment with. So that's just how it works. You can come into contact with, different vibrations that are above or below you, but you can't have any long experience and you can't have any bonded experience until you're aligned at that level. So it's a matter of identity. And it's a matter of knowing that, you are this thing. I saw an interview with Matt Damon and Denzel Washington and Will Smith and a whole bunch of other people at one time. And they're sitting in a room, and the interviewer said to them, is it true that, we attract into our lives what we're afraid of? And Matt said, well, he said, yeah, that may be true. He says, that I must be afraid of great actors. So, it's a matter, what you attract into your life is what you're vibrating, either on the love side or on the hate side or on the fear side. So, and that's just how it works. So you want better, you want better connection with things. You want a better success as a screenwriter. You want better success as an entertainment person and all that. You want to vibrate at the same level of the ones who you want to identify with, and then vibrate into that same level of resonance that, your hero or the level of your success you want, and the level of success you want is. Did I say that in a real sentence?
Yeah, you did. It was good. I got it. And sometimes, you have to repeat yourself in order to it to click. And I do that all the time in Toastmasters. and Toastmasters, and they count your ahs and ums and repeats. And I'm like, well, I'm making a point.
I can't count. When Arnold Schwarzenegger was first coming up and he was in all the magazines and he started to become into, the cinema magazines as opposed to the bodybuilding magazines. First time I saw him, when I said, oh my God, this guy is amazing. But, he's a weightlifter. How does he come to be a movie star? And then I saw him hold up, he had a thing where his fingers were like this, I think, or something like this, or three. And I wrote the question. I said, Arnold, what comes after three? Because I thought he was dumb at the time, but he's not dumb at all. He's actually a brilliant guy. So
Well, your brilliance increases, in my experience. I call brilliance your light, and that's why they call it brilliance. So your mind increases, and as your mind increases, you bring more higher self in, and then you get, because your higher self knows more.
You become
So
illuminated.
you're expanded, and so you just know more, and you're brilliant.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you know. It matters what you're able to channel through your light body. Yeah.
But also it repels people. So it's like it draws people in like you, right? Because you're drawn to the light, and I'm drawn to the light. But people who don't want to deal with their own inner darkness will see their own mirror,
Right.
and they'll be repelled, and that's okay, because I used to feel bad about that, right? But
they're
it's
not
not
your
my
peeps.
thing.
They're not your peeps. You're not here to save the world. You're here to do the best you can with you. And one of my great mentors once told me, he said, "Don't rescue desperation. It's a losing battle for
It
them."
pulls you down. Yeah.
Yeah. He said, "Don't rescue desperation. If they want to be rescued, they will start to rescue themselves. When they're on that path, then you can connect with them. But before that, any other thing is going to be a negative experience for you."
Yeah. It took me 20 years to get that one. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I had a few years of that too. So,
Yeah, it was a lot of the coaches still talk about service, and I don't go with service, because our genetics had so many thousands of years of servitude and slavery. And so I prefer, I don't serve others. I serve source, but I contribute to others. And for me, that feels a lot lighter,
okay.
because the cells in your body, they contribute to each other. They don't serve each other. right? So if one cell has more oxygen than it needs, it lets it go to the next cell. They all contribute. And I like that better. So there's certain things in the energy. Every word, every idea, every concept carries energy with it.
It's a
And
subtle difference, but it's good. Yeah, good. Thank you for
yeah,
bringing. That's nice.
and the impact. I don't know if you teach. A lot of them teach. We're going to impact the world. I'm like, I don't want to impact the poor world.
Yeah, we
It
just
just
want
it feels hard, right? It's
to put a dent in the universe.
no. I think we're working to join the universe because it's already kind of
Well,
like
we're already joined, but you
yeah.
know, when people talk about impact, they just want to have influence, you know. So
Oh, influence.
if you work it from the perspective, if you use the word influence, it makes it a little softer and
Yeah, it
works.
feels better. Doesn't that feel better? And
Yeah.
that's one thing a lot of people don't understand is everything you feel everything.
Right.
But a lot of people are dense.
Yeah,
And so they're not aware of their feelings. And so as you bring that up and get clear in it, it
that's
helps
right.
you. Yeah.
There's been studies done and that say that more than 30% of the people on the planet don't know what they're feeling at the time they're feeling it, and more than 50% don't know what they felt. For you know, they just kind of trudge along in this somnambulistic state, to the sleepwalking state, you know,
Well,
and
you
they
were dense, weren't you? Before, I mean, I was dense for
and
years.
I was incredibly dense, you know. I mean, I was so shut down, it wasn't even funny. I mean, you know, I really was despicable at the time. All of my inner experiences were dark. They were anger, they were fear, they were judgmental, they were, you know, kind of aggressively negative, you know, the way. And I was very dense. I had no idea that that's not the way that we were. And it caused me to have a very terrible, hellish life, you know, until I had my breakthrough. So
Because you were mirroring that to the universe and it said, oh, you like that? Here's more.
I
Yeah.
wasn't trying that. All I wanted to do was, because I had experienced a violent situation when I was young. I decided I would shut down because I didn't want to experience that. I wasn't willing to process. So I wasn't willing to process that and go through the emotional portion of that. So I shut down. And little did I know how badly that affected me, and how many years of my life was run by that one decision at that one moment, you know. And it was. And I was just talking about that with people, you know, yesterday actually, and the fact that we can make a decision when we're a child at the age of 4, and it can sometimes affect us for the rest of our lives. And subconsciously, we don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
Until you wake up and go, shit.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely shit.
I've
Holy
had a
shit.
lot of oh shits over the years.
Gotta feel myself. We've been through the oh shit factory.
Well, the masters did. It's like a computer game, and when you're a master, you choose a dense planet and you dive in and you go, I'll go do that. And then you get here and you go, oh, shit.
Part of the game of the soul wants experience. It's not interested in information because it's been around forever. It's eternal. So it wants experience. It doesn't care about information because it already knows everything. So the kind of fun part of all this is that the masters are people who want to go on roller coaster rides. They want their lives to be roller coasters. They want to experience the highest highs and the lowest lows and everything else. The average person out there who's living a day-to-day life and just trying to get along and be in, you know, kind of be at their own space and carrying a family or whatever it is that they need to do, you know, they're on a carousel. They go on this circular thing that just goes rounds and rounds and repeats everything. But the masters, they want the highest ups and the lowest lows so that they learn everything there is to know and, you know, experience the entire gamut of what's available. And, you know, the Da Vinci's, the Steve Jobs, you know, the Michelangelos, you know, the Einsteins, all the great geniuses. In fact, I got some of my heroes out here in the back. There's my
I know, I like that.
heroes, and there's my one of my mentor heroes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've still got Stan Lee on the wall.
Stanley, I love Stanley, yeah.
He's
Yeah.
on the
Do
wall.
you think do you think that at some point he just separated his first name into two names?
I don't know. Did he?
Stanley, yeah. So
Stanley? Oh, that makes
his
sense.
first name was Stanley, and then he said, "Hey, I don't want a last name. I'll just separate my first name into two."
That's cool. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he's a
You,
funny
you know,
guy.
we thought I was into comic books when I was little, and it was like, oh, that's stupid, blah blah blah, but I really liked it, and so I kind of put it away.
What's not to like? It's the essence of the human experience, you know. It's this personification of, you know, in the Marvel case, it's the human experience with problems. In the Superman and the DC case, it's the invulnerability of, you know, all the greatest aspects with very, if any, weaknesses, you know, just the weaknesses of what circumstances they hadn't planned. You know, kryptonite, or, you know, or somebody who can stop the speed parameter, or whatever the case, or something. But you know, the DC people are all the aggregate of all the great qualities of all humanity. But the Stan Lee's genius was that he gave the heroes, you know, very human conditions, that they different problems that they had to solve while they were being superheroes. He gave them a human persona, and the other heroes did not have human personas. No matter, even though they were humans, they didn't have human personas. They had godlike personas. So, you know,
Yeah, that is one of the things that adds depth to your scripts and your screenplays and stuff. If you can
sure,
if you can put in the wound, so that as the
right.
journey goes, they can expose the wound and come up and heal it. And that's what we're all going through, because
Yeah,
everybody's had wounds. It,
that's right.
you can't really avoid them here. They're part of your journey. But
Uh,
if you sit in the wound like I'm not good enough, or everybody hates me, or I'm ugly, or whatever, you'll never get forward. So you got to get that out.
Hemingway said, you know, we all are wounded by life, but where we're wounded is where the light enters. Where the cracks are is where the light enters. And he said the great ones are just strong in the wounded places. You know, learn to be strong in the wounded places.
What do you
Because
think? Oh, sorry, have you seen The Boys?
no, is that a movie?
Oh God, it's on Prime, and I watched the I don't know, series or whatever, the first year, and then it started again. I don't know, second or third series, but I couldn't. It's so gross, and it's very violent, but it takes the superhero mystique, and it just blows the crap out of it. So you might like it.
I might like it.
It's
Yeah,
what if superheroes had no morals?
right.
It's really bad.
Yeah. Well, that's the other part of the Marvel series, is that they're always up against other superheroes that have no morals. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that,
they're cleaner though. This gets
yeah.
really dark. I think you'd like it because it brings up concepts that, like, the first scene of the whole show is a guy like the Flash running,
Yeah.
and he runs by a girl who steps in the street and kills her and knocks her arms off. The guy and her boyfriend standing there holding these bloody bits.
Oh, God.
It's just the whole thing's like, what if superheroes hadn't
Yeah.
just didn't care and they did whatever they wanted? And when you think about it, yeah, you'd have to be careful running around super
Yeah, I
speed.
would think so. Yeah.
So they took that to extreme.
But if you vibrate fast enough, you go through things as opposed without
True.
damage. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
could you talk to us a little bit about the hero's journey and your hero journey? I know you had a hero journey. But yours was
Well,
pretty instant, right?
it was, well, if you consider you consider 23 years in hell, and
Oh, Well, yeah, but when you got out of hell.
Yeah, I got out of it. It was a cataclysmic one moment type thing. It was, I don't know, it could have been one moment, but it could have been 2 hours or 2 days. I have no idea how long I was in the experience of the breakthrough. But I don't know. You want that story, or you
Well,
want to talk about
not the long one at the beginning, just that you were dancing and
short
trouble.
version? Yeah, I was troubled. I was autistic. I was, as unaware as a human being can be. And I didn't even have a conversation with anybody till I was almost 30 years old. At one point, then the short version is I had a mystical experience. I was yanked out of my body, and my consciousness exploded into a zillion points of light, like the universe. And I was sent spinning through this incredible velocity of the universe, going through faster than the speed of light, and watching the experiences of planets birth and die, galaxies spinning, choirs of angels singing, all those other things. And then, when I came back into my body, then I had my superpowers. Then I was clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. And my life was never the same. I never had the same life before. From that moment on, my life totally turned. I was totally aware. I could see pulsations of different colors and things. I could see translucently through a lot of stuff. It was quite amazing. So, it was like this gigantic influx of, thousands of degrees of energy. And at the same time, it was this flame that washed over me and washed me clean. It was just this incredible,
They
incredible
call that
intensity.
the Indians call that hollow bone, right? You get rid of everything, you become a hollow bone. And
I don't
I
know about
call
the
it the
Indian,
tower of light, where you keep clearing until you're just this tower of light.
yeah, the Japanese call it a satori, the Alan Watts explains that as a sudden enlightenment, and many people have it. I'm not the only one. I'm sure millions of people have had it. But you kind of have to wonder, after all the darkness that you've been through, why you were chosen to have such an incredible experience. And the answer to that always is the hero's journey. The answer to that is that's the dark part of you was the training to be able to handle the dark part of what your mission is going to be in life. So that's the hero's journey. You get the training because you have disassociated with what is, normal, to come into a space of what is grand, or the grandeur of things, or the enlightenment of things. So, it's a place of, kind of deep rhythms and harmonies and hymns that you've explored in your dark space because you had to, because it was absolutely necessary to come out of it. And it's a place where the eternal cycle of change within us becomes really an uncanny discovery of amazing things. And so the hero's journey is he's always on a path of discovery to what's bigger, better, stronger, more advanced. And he's willing to take on the challenges of life, whatever that happened to be, and confront them straight on as somebody who is capable and strong and able and open to, higher experience with everything. So, the full use of the potential of the human spirit. So
I think you were the reluctant hero. And then they had to, okay,
well,
he's reluctant, we gotta pull him out.
most heroes are reluctant. Most heroes have to come, and before they reach their herohood, a lot of them have to come out, come through this kicking and screaming. Have you ever heard of the allegory of the cave by Plato?
Oh yeah, where you see the shadows.
You see shadows, and you don't, you think the shadows are reality because you can't turn around. You're stuck. You're only looking in one direction. You have no flexibility. And then one day somebody gets up and kind of makes his way out of the cave, and oh my God, sunlight, and nobody believes that there's another reality out there. And so,
They think he
in order to
died,
help
right? They all think
if
he
he does,
died.
but when he comes back in, he wants to show everybody, hey, I just discovered sunlight. I just discovered a whole new world. there's vivid colors out there. There's all kinds of things happening, blah, blah, blah. And he has to drag them kicking and screaming out of the cave into the light. And such is the case with so many of the superhero situations. People have to come kicking and screaming if they're chosen, or if they want to come, or if somebody chooses them, So it's an amazing experience. It's beyond words. We call it a transcendence, really. It's not a languageable thing, but we can describe it, but that doesn't mean you can experience it. It's like trying to describe red to somebody who's been blind all their lives. You can describe it all you want, but they'll never, they'll have an idea, but they will never really know what it is. Or like trying to describe the taste of honey to somebody who's never tasted it. They can give the idea of sweetness, blah, 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 but until you have honey on your lips, you don't know what it's really like.
Yeah.
So
I talk
know what I'm
about
saying?
that with psychic. I was in resistance. Have worldpsychics.com and everything for years. I mean, I
Yeah.
still have it. And but it bothered me because it's a limitation in the term, but that's what people look for. It's like saying psychic to me is like saying I see blue, but it doesn't also say I see red and green and purple and orange and
It's a
dimensions
particular,
and thoughts, and it's
it's a
just
particular gift. It's not an enlightenment. It's not a wholeness, but it's a particular.
well, it's a limitation, but Google recognizes it as a search term. So
Oh, okay, sure.
we're dealing with the material realm, and as far as people's consciousness can reach.
Right.
I mean, you've kind of blown that apart. You call yourself a luminary, right?
Other
That's
people
cool.
call me that. I don't
Yeah.
really call me that, but I believe that luminosity is where the human spirit goes as it frees itself.
Well, I think you are a luminary. I think I am too, but it's probably not something people are going to search for. It's just like
Yeah,
guru. I had issues with guru because I don't want followers like that, even though you have them on Facebook or whatever, but people
right.
have to find their own luminary inside them.
Always used to think the term guru was a Greek food. Oh, we'll go out to have gurus and mashed potatoes tonight.
That's cool. I like how you tied it into the superheroes. Have you thought about writing a superhero journey?
Well, I did 3 children's books long ago in my 30s called The Adventures of Bobo, the World Champion Iron Pumping Kitten. So it was a fantasy story about a kitten who lifted weights, and he was modeled on Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then I combined him with the idea of James Bond. So I had a weightlifting kitty who used to wear a terry cloth headband and terry cloth wristbands on its paws. And it would just work out every day, and then go out and save people from their own negative adventures, whatever that is, if they were kidnapped, or they were facing evil, or whatever the case may be. So it's a long time ago, but yeah. So the idea of superhero has always been part of my growth process.
Well, I think it appeals to the human spirit at a deep level, deep
It is
subconscious
who we
level.
are. Yeah, it's the function of humanity to become heroes. The function of all humanity is to become your own hero. Because that's what angels are. That's what all the great non-physical beings are, heroes of different sorts. They're all these mythological creatures, but they're not mythology. They're, in point of fact, that's another debatable thing, but they are non-physical beings that evoke the mythology of understanding. That's
Well,
what a hero.
yeah. If you can think of it, it exists somewhere.
That's
I
right.
mean, that's how the universe works. So.
That's right, because the only limitations are the imagination of God, and I think it's pretty advanced.
Yeah.
So the image of the hero is what explains where we want to go and what we want to do. So all of us want adventure, even though we may say we don't. In our youth, we all want adventure. And, we kind of shy away from that as we get older because the world kind of kicks our butt. But in our youth, we want adventure. And, the hero is committed to finding truth, whatever that happens to be. And, we deal with the deep psychological questions. And that's what a hero does. He deals with the deepest psychological questions of good and evil and what's right and what's wrong. And how do we deal with threats and all these other kinds of things, and how do we step up at the face of odds and high adversity, so it takes us through this journey, and it's sort of it's a journey of kind of finding truth. I don't want to repeat myself, but it's a journey of finding new discoveries. It's a journey of discovery, basically, whatever you want to call your area of.
Well, self-discovery, though.
It's self-discovery, but it's also discovery of the world. It's also discovery of what's out there, which is really ourselves anyway, but it's discovery of the difference between the ego and the self. Yeah. And, the bad guy is always a symbol of the ego in most of these literature stories, and especially in movies and things. It's a symbol of the ego, and the good guy is a symbol of the humble self, that is willing to stand up to the dark, ego, the fundamental human experience. So one is the sort of the I'm up to it experience. The second one is, absolutely not. And the third one is, I'm on the side of good as opposed to the side of bad. So you make those choices, and, by the choices you make, you become a hero, or you become reticent, or you become a retreater of different sorts. Or if you make the opposite choice, you become your evil self, your twin evil self. The one that says all the bad things and does all the negative shit and hurts others.
But those are, they don't really show it a lot in the movies. They do a little bit, but those are in just wounds. People like that are just childhood wounds.
But they're necessary. They're necessary to advance, because you have to have something to play off of.
That's right, because that's expansion, right?
Yeah, you'd never know tall if there wasn't a short. You'd never know left if there wasn't a right. You'd never know good if there wasn't an evil, and you'd never know happiness if there wasn't sadness or sorrow. So all those things are things you play off of. So, and that's the genius of the way the universe, kind of constructed the Earth experience. That doesn't, by the way, that doesn't exist in a lot of other realms. In higher realms of existence, those things don't exist. So they only exist in up to the fourth dimension. So there's a whole new set of laws that happen beyond the physical. So.
Yeah, this is one of the denser places.
Well, it's not one of the denser places necessarily. It's one of the learning and playground places. It's one of the education planets. So
there's more contrast to choose from, and there's more things to play off of and choices. I've had a lot of mystical experiences.
So when you encounter mystical beings and you tell them about duality, sometimes, if you are a really good astral traveler and you encounter mystical beings, they don't even believe that there's such a thing as duality. So it doesn't exist for them.
I had one time I was just standing in my kitchen or somewhere like 20 years ago, and I noticed these two beings off to my side. And one of them said to the other ones, "Do they really think that's real?"
Yeah, they don't.
That's funny. It's like, to them, we were like, this was real to us, but they thought it was funny that the concept that we thought it was real was.
Right, because the truth of the matter is that, we look at a chair, we see it as a chair, but it's just an energy field that
Yeah.
manifesting itself to look like a chair, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only reason the only reason our body feels like it sits in the chair is
Yeah,
because our body's in the same illusion as the chair.
because we believe it, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But if we weren't in the same illusion as the chair, our bodies
You
would
don't have
probably
a
just
body.
walk through it or something.
When you come out of the illusion, you don't, your body is a secondary kind of, it's a concept and not a reality, so,
Yeah, it's a concept.
yeah.
But we're
Yeah.
also I'm identified as this body right now, but I'm
Well,
also creating this chair.
you're also
I'm
creating.
creating the room and I'm
You're also
creating
creating
you in
the
my
world.
reality, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
You're also
just like
creating the world. Yeah.
yeah, just like you're creating me in your reality because we're that powerful.
Yeah, that's right. So we're just, we're God experiencing itself through us. That's all. Through this form for the
Well,
time being.
that's not an all. That's awesome.
Well, but it is the way everything works. Yes, it is
Yeah,
awesome. It's
it
the way
is.
everything works. And it's regular to many other dimensions. It's not regular to the earth dimension. So, but it's cool, I mean, and the fun of it is educating other people to the level of that experience and taking it away from the idea into the reality for other people, taking it into the place of experience and feeling. So, that's
And
the fun of
how do you help them without when I'm working directly with someone, sometimes I can't look at them directly because my energy's so strong, they'll just start crying. And so I sometimes when I'm doing sessions, I'll like look next to them. I won't look at them directly, or I put a regulator like on an air tank pressure valve. And I
Okay.
put that in the air next to their head and I'll take them like 110, 120 maybe, but I don't take them over that because
Well,
you can unseat people's reality if you take them too high.
yeah. Well, I try not to unseat their reality in that way. What I do is I question them until they come to the right answer and they make a breakthrough, an aha moment. So we do what Socrates did, and it's called the Heuristic Method. And you lead someone by particular questions to discover something, because you can tell somebody something and they may get it for a moment or two, but it's not theirs. If they discover that on their own, through their own exploration, they own it, then they never have to go back. So,
That's
so,
cool.
so the breakthrough is always leading them into their own breakthrough and not giving them the information. But Krishnamurti used to never answer a question directly. Somebody would say, well, I want to know about enlightenment. And he'd say, why do you want to know? He'd never give them a direct answer. They had to discover whatever it was that they were asking. So, and that was a very brilliant way. It's the same way that Socrates, did back in ancient Greece, and they killed him for it because people got enlightened and they didn't like that. And they felt it was, fucking with their power.
Well, it was. That's where his light was. They externalized their darkness on him as a
Yeah.
target. That's yeah.
And they made him drink hemlock. No, they didn't make him. He actually, they gave him a choice, and he said, if you're so dense that that you think that I'm a threat to you, I'll drink your hemlock, up yours, basically. So, and that's what happened. He drank the hemlock and all that kind of stuff.
I
And that's
saw a YouTube video yesterday because you were mentioning questions. This was on the Matrix, and they said I think it was within the first 30 minutes, there were 17 questions. And I thought that's interesting because when you think about it, there were, but I mean, that's writing a script where everything's a question that's kind of unanswered, like the blue
you have
pill
to,
or
yeah,
the
you
red
have
pill or the
you have to go through the questions. John DeMartini said, the quality of your life is the quality of your questions. So
yeah.
a pretty profound insight.
But I
So
think that's why that the Matrix was so profound for people, because he was questioning reality, but he didn't really get the answers most of the time until later on in the film.
he began to believe. So he began to believe
Yeah.
in it. Yeah. So, and then, and then he had to question, then he had to deal with the entire illusion. At first, it was just, not understanding who he was. And then it was, dealing with what is the aggression against that. And then it is taking on the entire illusion, so.
And then finding out that
that isn't the
he didn't
reality.
change the illusion either. No spoilers, but I mean, the computers where he left them there doing their thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's all that we do anyways. We generate these thoughts and images, and we decide whether or not we want to live by them. So, I think Elon Musk talks about us living in a simulation.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, I think we are, but it's our own simulation. We're each creating our own, but we have group agreement to create chairs and stuff.
that's right. So we are each the center of the universe in the same way. Let's just say the universe is a sphere or a basketball, and any point on the sphere that you pick is the center of that universe, the center of that basketball. You can go all around it; it'll always be the center, no matter where you point your finger. So, and that's how the universe is constructed.
Yeah, fractals. As above, below, fractals.
Yeah.
Yeah, the questions are, you get higher level questions when you get higher level. And when you have when you're in survival mode, your questions are all, yeah, it depends what dimension you're on, but on survival mode, your questions are just, oh my God, what do I do now? But when you get higher level, it's like, okay, what would I choose to do? What would I love to do? What would be good for me? What would be good for the planet? What would be good for the earth? How can I contribute? So it's a whole different, but if you judge yourself with your questions down here, you won't get here, because judgment will drop your level.
Right.
So you've got to just understand you're a kid learning, usually.
That's right. Yeah.
And be nice to yourself, right?
Yeah, well, you're a pretty wise lady.
Well, that took me years. And what I've been getting last week was 2 weeks ago, I started getting, I have choice.
Yeah, well,
that was a breakthrough, because for years, I had the subconscious stuff that I had to do this, I had to do that, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. And, we were trained in school, raise your hand, do this. And my parents beat me down. So I was getting a breakthrough just a couple of weeks ago. I have a choice.
But guess what? The higher you go, the less choice you have. It isn't that you have less choice, but your choice is always to allow what is happening. So the choice is yes or no at a certain point. So the higher you go, your intuition tells you more, and you have connection with the source part of you, and that source part of you is in communication with you. And the higher you go, the less you go against what your intuition tells you, or what source tells you, whatever. You don't defy
you still have choice to not do it, but
you can say no.
You suffer worse.
You understand the consequences of saying no, right? Yeah. You say no, God, I'm not going to do what you tell me. He said, if you see me, he said, you can do what you want, but if you see me coming, you better run.
Well, the way I understand it is, source holds what we desire, and then we move toward what we desire. But once that's been vibrationally activated, we don't have choice. We have to go there. But it's something that we created. It's not like this. We're not puppets.
Right.
Yeah. So it's something we chose and said, I want this. And then we move toward it. But if you don't move toward it, you start feeling really crappy.
Right.
Yeah. So it's
accurate. That's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I at this point in my life, my body can't even stand to feel crappy for a minute or two.
Oh, I don't blame you. Yeah.
I have to recalibrate. I have to recalibrate to well-being, to humor, to fun, to enjoyment. I can't be in a state of depression. I can't be in a state of, my body won't tolerate it anymore, because I've been in such a good state for such a long time that any deviation from that is an affront on my body. My body is like white cells that attacks the negative and then boosts it out of your body. So boosts it out of my body anyway.
Yeah, you got to be pickier the higher you go. You get pickier with your alignment. You put yourself in your alignment first.
Yeah.
With everything you do. Like this event, it was a hell yes for you, right?
Right.
And you
Right.
said, yeah, and yours is a hell yes for me. And
Yeah.
A lot of times I would talk myself into things that weren't a heaven yes, or yeah, that sounds like fun. I would just say, oh, I'm supposed to do that. Oh, I have to do that. And then that's the path you're on, because your path is lower dimension, and that's the outcome you get. Because you can't, once the vibration is set up, you're going to manifest at that level. So if you feel like, oh, this is great, I'm moving forward, and you're excited, then you're going to manifest something exciting.
Right.
Yeah. So you totally know how it works. You've embodied it. And that took me years to embody.
Yeah. Well, it's a life journey.
Oh,
Definitely is a life journey.
probably a lot of them.
Yeah, and for many people, it's many life journeys. Yeah.
I think we've been around a while.
I've had at least 3,000 lifetimes on Earth, is what I'm told. I don't know if that's
Oh,
true or
wow.
not.
Yeah,
I'm
I
told.
bet you have. Well, what I'm hearing is you're a master teacher, and that's why.
That's my forte. At least that's how I see
Yeah,
my.
because you're uh, a lot of them you were Asian, like a monk, but more like not like a Buddhist monk, maybe
Like
Tibetan or
more
something.
solitude. I've been in many cultures, and many
Yeah, you are
different.
like your master. I see you like a master walking around like in the desert, Everybody
Like,
knew who you were.
but whenever I'm in the desert, I go four-wheeling.
Oh, you
To get
learned fun this lifetime.
that's right. Yeah.
I
I get
didn't have four-wheeling.
myself a motorcycle or a tricycle or whatever they call that thing,
Oh,
and
that's
then
cool.
I was in Costa Rica at Christmas time a couple of years back, way before COVID, but it was a couple of years back, and I had a bigger beard, and I had I don't know what that vehicle is called, but it's like a four-wheel motorcycle thing,
Yeah, I know
and
what you're talking about.
yeah, and I went down to the beach, and I drove across the beach. It was a crowded beach in Costa Rica. You could still ride a horse on the beach and still drive these vehicles on the beach. And I was driving this vehicle on the beach, and like all these kids, like 3, 5, 7 years old, they started running out toward me, and I'm going, "What the hell's going on?" They're going, "Santa Claus, Santa Claus." So I was
That's
going, "Oh my God."
cute.
A bigger white beard and a bigger belly, and automatically I was Santa Claus has stripped down and gotten modern. He's gotten an A vehicle.
Yeah,
Then,
all-terrain vehicle, right?
yeah, yeah.
So did you have anything to give them? Like pencils or?
No, I wasn't there for the kids at that point. I wasn't Santa Claus. I was just having a good time. I was happy to drive on the beach with this thing. I got a young lady to sit on the back of it, and I was in heaven. I didn't have a clue that this would in any way, shape, or form attract any kids. It was sort of a fun experience. It's cracked me up.
Well, that they recognized your energy too, right?
Well,
So it
kids
wasn't
recognize
just your face.
easier. What?
It wasn't just your face, it was your energy. They knew you were safe.
Yeah, well, kids recognize that a lot faster than adults. Adults have been jaded because of all their pain, so they protect themselves. Kids don't know how to protect themselves for a long time, and they don't consider the idea of needing to protect themselves. They're just, they're exploring,
Having fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun being a kid.
That's how we learn. It's one of the great ways we learn. When we have fun, our learning accelerates dramatically. So, it's a lot slower when you have to plod through it and be effortful.
Well, the plod through is a lower dimension, right?
Yes, it's a denser
And the
dimension.
fun is in the higher dimension. So things go
Always.
faster and easier. And that's
Yeah.
why the key to what you and I teach and Marbeth teaches and a lot of other people teach helps you in everywhere in your whole life.
Oh yeah,
It
for
it
sure.
helps everything, because if you can get your energy clear and your mind clear, you can just move forward a lot easier. But if you're trying to do it through the mud, it feels like crap.
The mud is resistance,
Yeah.
and the other part is non-resistance. It's like ease is like lubrication, and ease is a fun thing, It's just like, holy shit, we're having fun, Are we
Yeah.
there yet? Yay!
Yeah. Yeah. We're having fun. This
Yeah,
has been great, Harrison.
my pleasure.
Yeah, you're just so knowledgeable and awake and aware.
Well, we're just having fun, So
Yeah, we
uh,
are.
yeah, so I just go with what's given, that's all, and I flow with whatever that is, and let the chips fall where they may, but I direct what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah,
So
let's change that to let the light rise
let
instead of
the-
chips fall. I was talking to a lady today. About deadline. I hate the word deadlines because I was in advertising. We had deadlines all the time, and I keep thinking of something else, and she goes success line. She's a screenwriter.
there you
I
go.
go, that's great.
That's a
That's
better
my
way.
success line is,
I
on
like
this
that.
date. I
Somebody
love that.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you reframe it to a higher level and then adopt that.
always, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
what
the
is your offering to our audience, Harrison?
Okay, well, we have some free gifts, but what I really want to get you guys to do out there, who is the audience, I'm talking to you out there who's watching it, is that I have an event coming up. It's called Small Shifts, Big Changes. And it absolutely lives up to its name. We'll have anywhere between 36 and about 55 speakers, Lisa being one of them. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Oh, thank you.
And that event is free. So the URL for that is smallshiftsbigchanges.com. Simple as that. And you register, you get a free ticket, and you get a ticket to see the show, baby. So we have some of the greatest minds on the planet, some of the greatest enlightened minds, and we're covering 5 different categories. We're covering relationships, health, and wealth, and career, and we're covering enlightenment and spirituality. So those 5 areas, and we have some of the greatest minds on the planet talking about those things. And my assignment to all the people I've assembled is to make instantaneous shifts, to come from a small shift to make an instantaneous shift, or at least a breakthrough on every call. They have to have at least 3 tips, and they have to have something that'll make a breakthrough for the people who they're talking to. So be there. It'll make all the difference in the world. You'll have a lot of fun, because I don't hang out with people who are not fun, and I don't bring people who are not fun. If you're too dense, then I don't want to have that as part of my environment. But
You
the
wouldn't
good thing,
attract them though.
I don't attract those kind of
Yeah,
people in
you
my
would.
life anyway. But if they come in, it's sort of by accident, because they're wanting to explore something that I have. And if that's the case, they may be ready for next change level, or whatever the case may be. But the beauty is that we all rise together, and every single time that we help ourselves, we help the entire universe. Every other person we help the entire universe. I'm not talking metaphorically. That's a reality. That is how things work. We help the entire university, universe, and university, every time we make an upward change. Every time we make a change that expands our consciousness. We are in the midst of values revelation and revolution. We're in the midst of a consciousness revolution, in the midst of an ethics revolution, and in the midst of a healing revolution. So all those things are happening simultaneously, and the more guides you have that help you to get to the highest space of your potential, your great high performance, and your great feeling of enormously unlimitless bliss. You become something that is beyond the human condition, the going from Homo sapien to Homo luminous, and your state of being becomes something that is an easy manifester and a great experiencer, both for yourself and for all those around you. So small shifts, big changes. Small shifts, big changes. Somewhere between 36 to 55 speakers of massive influence, of massive of knowledge and massive leverage. So we're going to make some.
I'll put the link in the chat.
Yeah, put the link in the chat,
And
please.
everybody when you get in a group like that, that's huge. It's 3 days immersion.
3 days.
3 days. When you're in a high level group with just with Harrison and I, a lot of you can feel it. And when you're in a high level group for 3 days with high level people, it shifts your reality.
Yeah, so let me tell you this: we have the John D. Martinis, we have the Forbes Rileys, we have the James Dentleys. These are household names in different industries, and we have people at that level, constantly giving us, information from where they have landed and are continuing to grow from. And every time you get around somebody like that, you cannot help but raise your vibration. It's an imperative, and it's nothing that you actually have to do. It's just being in the energy field. Everything is an energy field. Wealth is an energy field. Poverty is an energy field. Health is an energy field. Sickness is an energy field. You find out which energy field you resonate most with. You identify with that. That's called an alignment. As you identify, you experience all the things of that energy field. So come experience the highest energy field that you're capable of at this particular point in time.
And bring your light with you.
Bring your light.
So you can't contribute to it. Yeah.
You can't help but bring your light with you. But we're gonna illuminate you even greater. So, I think Edison just wanted to enlighten the world. He wanted to light up the world, but he didn't just do one light bulb. He lit up the entire world. We're going to light up the entire world too. We're lighting up the entire world. We're all in this level of enlightenment. And enlightenment means less burdens, greater illumination, more fun, more enjoyment, more ability to see things that are invisible, which is the kind of the fun things they talk about, the psychic realms and stuff like that.
And all of them, as you grow, you expand your mind into new dimensions.
That's right. And you get more wealth, you get more health, you get more fun, you get more career advancement, you get more substantial people that you hang out with. When you become a millionaire, you get to hang out with other millionaires. When you become a billionaire, you get to hang out with other billionaires. Up until that point, those people are not easily accessible to you. So
it's a lot more fun. It's fun to meet people and go on cruises and have fun. And it's just fun.
Yeah. Come and hang out with the best of the best, and there's no obligation. It's a free ticket for God's sake.
I'm excited. It's great.
Yeah, it really is something to be excited about. So it's you guys who like rock and roll, I'm a rock and roll musician as well. So you guys who like rock and roll, baby, we're gonna rock this world. you know what I'm saying? You be there. Smallshiftsbigchanges.com.
Yeah. And I already put the link, and I'll put it again.
Thank you, Lisa. It's been awesome. And for you entertainment, for your entertainment buffs, for your entertainment kind of groups and participants, for your entertainment participants. The kinds of stuff you're going to learn here, the hero's journey. You'll see the subtleties and the nuances and the non easily perceptible areas of what mythology is talking about. And so we become the myth that shapes and illuminates the world. And it's the way of the world to create a hero. So every generation sends a hero up the pop charts, as Paul Simon used to say. So be the hero that gets sent up the pop charts. And if you can't be that one, at least hang out with them. Hitch your wagon to a star.
Yeah, well, many of them. And between this event and what you receive here and the energy between us and Harrison's event is what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yeah. So you will be a different person by the time you get to Harrison's event.
That's right. That's right.
And then and then you got 3 days immersion. It'll be amazing. Shift your life to a higher level.
Yep. Shift your life. Shift your life. So be there. Small shifts, big changes. All right. It'll make your world crazily good. It's really good.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Harrison. This has just been such a joy. I really enjoyed it.
My pleasure.